Yeah, I guess for your group, I guess we'll start off. Anything that just kind of jumped off the page at you, the flip from week 1 to week 2, and just kind of how they performed, or just kind of how the whole DB group.
I always think in football in general, between week 1 and week 2, there's always the biggest change. And if there's not, you need to really be concerned. But in our group with the safeties and the nickels, I think there was just a little bit more of a comfort, getting back on the field again. Thought we got off to a slow start in the beginning of that game against Utah State, whereas in this game here, we just seemed like we were right in the flow right away. Still trying to improve from a standpoint of tackling is concerned. Thought we missed too many tackles in this previous game. But overall, I think there's a better understanding. There's a better chemistry with the guys that we had. We moved some people around. Our strong safety was playing nickel. Of George Hicks, who was a corner last year. He's been practicing that free safety this whole time. He's substituted in with Khalid Jabril at free safety. And then TJ Hill, that came in here from Buffalo, we got him out of the portal. He started his first game, and he had 62 plays. So, there was some moving parts during the course of the week, a little bit of angst, but I thought, again, as a group, they came together and played with good chemistry.
Yeah, what kind of spark did Isom give you there? Was his performance there a little bit even of a surprise how well he did? Just transit.
Well, shoot. I mean, Ice took the week before off. He only played 10 games before he got hurt. I know that really bothered him, and he did a great job during the week. Getting back up to speed, and again changing positions. I mean, that was awesome. Guy came in the week before that. Our nickel, Armani Marsh. He ended up playing the nickel and the strong safety within the same series. And we were rotating in another strong safety with him. So, some of these guys, they're showing some great versatility and then knowledge of the scheme. From a spark standpoint, Ice is a football player. He does a great job, from a standpoint of studying. Gets to practice against great players like Travell, in practice, and having to cover guys like that. And, it's just good to have him for a full game and, and with his leadership and just his overall playing ability.
And TJ Hill's performance, I know, first one, were you, I kind of in a similar vein, surprised by just maybe how quick he settled in there? I know he was kind of a leading tackler, had a lot of kind of stalemating hits. It seemed like he pressured the quarterback a little bit, and if I'm remembering correctly, was decent in the run game.
Yeah,
and he's kind of all around.
He had a chance to actually sack the quarterback, and there was a little bit of hesitancy. But some of those things will come because you practice your reactions, and then all of a sudden you go to the game. And what are those reactions from practice? So, getting back up to speed for him in a new system. But some of the plays that he made were plays that a veteran player that has played in previous games, for the last 4 years, would make. Real headsy plays. We knew we had a scrambler last week. We needed to plaster in coverage once he started running around. A couple of times he tried to bite downhill and then said, oh, wait a minute, let me find this guy. Stuff like that. Quarterback off the edge in some of the option game. He was patient in his initial responsibility and then showed up in the primary responsibility, the ultimate responsibility, and then going to the ball. So all in all, first game, good. Again, he's one of those that more game reps, tackling and things like that, and more up to speed and reacting faster within the course of the actual game.
I know you guys have been dealing with a little bit of shorthandedness back there, just kind of in the secondary in general. But how confident have you grown in kind of the depth and being able to get through it, times like this where you might not have everybody available?
Well, the one thing we've always done, we always teach in concepts. Try not to pigeonhole guys. Of course, everybody has a position that they need to understand, that they need to become an expert at executing that position. At the same time, and you got to be careful when you're coaching, when you're teaching, that you're not necessarily talking to everybody. What I mean by that is, okay, here's A, B, C, and this is what you do. And then there's some players like an Isom, like a Marsh, that you can take a side and say, in this situation, boy, can you see this over here? Are you able to do this and maybe tweak this here and that? So, they get into it. They watch a lot of film. They understand the game. They can put all the pieces together. They know how the different parts fit together, and that's how they've been able to play different positions. So far, like Armani Marshall, he's played the nickel, he's played the strong safety. Isom had the hat trick by him playing nickel last week. He's played the free safety all last year, and then had to come in against Utah. He played the strong safety, got up to speed in a week. Wasn't perfect, but I mean, it looked like football at the Pac-12 level. And then last week he played the nickel. So it's just very fortunate to have guys like that have an understanding in total and understand the concepts that you can kind of plug and play. And it's just like in life, right? As a person, the more hats you can wear, the better. You just become your draftability in this case, goes up for some of these kids.
Obviously, I know you got a background with USC a little bit. I don't know, does that make these ones anything different going into these USC? I know it's always kind of like treat every game the same, but
well, I mean, as a coach, it's about whoever's signing your paycheck for one thing, and that's where the loyalty is. But no, in jest, I'll just tell Bill that the first time I ever came here to Pullman was with USC. I think it was. Leaf was a sophomore, and we had Darrell Russell, Sammy Knight, Claiborne, and we had a pretty good crew, and we were down at halftime, or maybe it was tied, and John Robinson gave a big speech about if we can't run the ball, we're just not going to win. And then Mike Riley, who I later worked with for many years, he was the offensive coordinator, and I was kind of tagging along behind as we were coming back out for the second half, and Coach Robinson looked back at Mike and just said, "Hey, Mike, you heard all that stuff I was talking about, right?" He says, "Oh, yeah, Coach, we're going to run the ball." He says, "Hey, just remember this. Just make sure we win the game." But it ended up with, us hanging on to Ryan Leaf like King Kong back there trying to throw one more final deep ball, and we ended up sacking him and won the game. But I enjoyed my time at USC. I think it's one of those iconic places in college football and all that. I've been a part of Oregon State teams that we beat them when they were at number 1, number 3, and number 5, and that was awesome. So we look forward to doing the same thing here when they come into the Palouse on Saturday.
And kind of last thing for you, I know USC kind of prides itself on that experienced quarterback. They got a lot of those, really kind of grade A talent type of receivers. What are you sort of highlighting in film with those guys? Kind of as simple as that, is just those big body talented receivers. Is that kind of the main emphasis for your guys?
Yeah, the London kid, 15 last year, half the time the nickel was having a hard time because he identifies the split in the formation, and when they'd go a double wide set, sometimes he'd line up away from him because he didn't realize that, hey, wait a minute, that's 15. That's not the tight end. That's the wideout. But, SC teams, you grow to expect the fact that they've got one of the best recruiting bases in the country down there in Los Angeles. They're always loaded with talent. Sometimes for them it doesn't come out right. They got to practice. You got to work day in and day out. But we don't expect to play against the best in every position, whether it's a receiver, a quarterback, a running back, a lineman. But we can't worry about that. There's only one football. I told the team one time, you talk about all these 4 stars and 5 stars. Well, there's all these 5-star athletes. Only one 5-star athlete can have the ball. Even if we got 11 1-star athletes, which we don't, we've got better players than that. But even if you did, you got 11 stars going after 5 stars. So let's get them down to the ground.